Work is going to be work, but there's usually reward in that too. I mean, whether it's seeing the dancers come to life or just seeing your own choreography on stage is rewarding in itself. So, you have to have fun with that. You have to enjoy the process.
Hello, Annie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
It's been a while since we've talked. We talked about your career and things like that before. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jarrad Erreca. Now, for those of you that haven't seen Annie's first interview, it's on my YouTube page. You can see it. Annie talked about getting into ballet to improve her social skills. She talked about working with people that she would end up admiring and inspire her to do even better. She continued dance throughout her childhood and into adulthood, which eventually turned into a career. And now, here we are, and she has her own store called Performer's Closet.
Correct. Yes, this is my store, the Performer's Closet. I sell dance attire here, dance shoes, dance accessories, anything that you might need to take a dance class.
So how has that changed for you in terms of your artwork and creativity?
Well, I think here in the store, obviously, it's a need to our community that I'm providing, but I also still get to show my creative side and in decorating the store, decorating the Christmas tree, decorating for the different seasons. Of course, it's still very new, so I haven't gone through all the seasons yet, but I definitely get to use a little bit of my creative side and putting together displays or maybe what I put, on Instagram or social media and just presenting it to the public and allowing them to see it in a way that maybe I see it as an art and something that we get to come and take what we need into this classroom. It's here at my store. So I still get to use that creative side.
The last time you and I spoke was during the pandemic in 2020. Everything was on lockdown, so you guys couldn't do Nutcracker. How did Nutcracker go this year?
It was great. We always love Nutcracker season, of course. I think for a lot of us, it's just something that's been embedded in us for so long. We did it as children growing up, and now we get to, direct and put our talents back into the kids of this generation. And it's a lot of work, but, we start rehearsing in August and then get to perform in December, the first week in December, and it just really puts you in the Christmas spirit, of course, and you get some great bonding time with the dancers, the teachers, the choreographers. So I think that it's always something that we look forward to, and it starts the season off right.
That's great, Annie. How did you guys do in terms of the business end of it? I know there's costs involved.
Yeah, well, it is a huge expense. We use a very big theater, and we actually hire a full orchestra. We actually went back to a full piece orchestra this year. We had the Nutcracker Orchestra that we collaborated with, and that's certainly special to us. It's special to the community to have that live music along with the live dancing, and you don't get that very many places. So we are unique here in Kern County that we have that, and I think that it brings our local musicians together with our local dancers, and it's very special. It's definitely a unique experience, and I think we did well. We filled a lot of those seats in the audience for 4 full performances, and then we also had 4 young people's concerts where we were able to bring in local children from local schools that maybe don't usually get to go see the Nutcracker. They came and shared in an experience, got to see the live music. We did a little behind the scenes that they got to see that not everybody gets to see. So that was kind of special and unique to the children too. So that's always exciting.
What is your favorite part of the Nutcracker, whether it be the creative side or just the Nutcracker in general?
I think, like I said, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I think that we work very hard in the studio before we take it to the stage. And it always amazes me how, we can be in the studio and we can still be falling out of turns or, not happy with our performance. Of course, as dancers, we're never really happy. We always feel like we can do better. But I think that, to see it all come together, to see each dance brought together as a full scene, that's where the magic kind of happens. You see the story begin to happen, and it always amazes me. Like, you just are shocked that all of this can come together and put out a story that is magical and special for a first-time viewer.
What would you say to somebody that's never seen the Nutcracker before?
Oh, you definitely need to experience the Nutcracker. Even if you're not a ballet fan per se, I think that the Nutcracker is just special. It's magical. It has a great story. It's it's got you have the battle scene. You have a snow scene. You have Act 2 is very action packed and fun music that everybody recognizes from the Nutcracker and that you hear in the stores all Christmas season. I feel like everyone should experience it at least once, and you might just get hooked.
There have been a few adaptations to film for the Nutcracker. Have you ever seen one?
I haven't seen, other than what's been put out in movies recently. There's so many different interpretations that I love going and see. Even professional ballet companies that put on the Nutcracker, they all have their slightly different interpretations, and I just love seeing the differences in each performance. That's always exciting.
We all have different ways of interpreting things like the Nutcracker, and I know I would definitely interpret the Nutcracker a lot differently than you would.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about it, is just seeing the different, maybe what's in someone else's mind as the Nutcracker come to life on stage. It's special.
If someone came to you and wanted you to do any ballet production, what production would it be? What would you want to do?
Oh, that's hard to say, because, typically when someone comes to you wanting you to choreograph something, it's for a specific cause or an event. So you try to cater to that need and that want, that specific situation. But I think if I were just told to be creative and put out whatever comes to me, then I think I would just do an original piece, something to some original music that maybe moves me in a certain way or inspires me to just build a choreographed dance that can showcase the dancers. I like to use, a big core is also fun to fill the stage and have lots of dancers. So I think that I would just work on something original with some original music, something that's not necessarily a classical piece.
Now, you mentioned earlier something about causes. What is your favorite cause?
Well, I think, each year in the springtime at Civic Dance, we do a spring gala. And that's our yearly recital that we do for our students. And when we put together that gala, we try to, not every year, but we try to put in new pieces are original pieces that we choreograph, and we get creative with that. We've done things like Where's Waldo? We've done a Where's Waldo ballet, and we've, just put in some extra time into ideas and just being creative to where the dancers can have fun with it and not have to be so serious all the time too. Sometimes it's fun to see the personalities come out on stage when you have a little bit of fun music and a different theme per se. But yeah, I think that, I've also done fundraisers, like at Dancing at the Stars. We do that yearly fundraiser where we raise money for the Stars Dinner Theater. And we're partnered up with local people in the community that might be well known in the community, and they help raise money. That's always fun because you get to know your partner and you're teaching them dance. Most of them have had either little or no dance experience, so we're able to introduce that to them, and it's always fun to see how excited they get about that too.
I'm with you on that one. If you're not having fun, then what's the point? Sure, it can be difficult, but you just gotta have fun with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, work is going to be work, but there's usually reward in that too. I mean, whether it's seeing the dancers come to life or just seeing your own choreography on stage is rewarding in itself. So, you have to have fun with that. You have to enjoy the process.
Earlier, you mentioned that people had their own interpretations of the Nutcracker performance that you've seen in different places. If you were to direct the Nutcracker yourself, how would you interpret it, and what would you do with it in terms of the performance?
It's hard because I think when you grow up doing the same Nutcracker every year, in your mind, that's all there is. That's Nutcracker. Until you go and see a different production, then you're like, oh, wait, this could be done differently? I didn't realize, So I think that, of course, you always want to put your own little spin on things and your own little personal touch into maybe the choreography, or maybe it's the sets of the stage. Maybe it's the lighting. I mean, there's so many things that go into a production. It's not just the dancing part of it. I mean, like I said before, we have a live orchestra. That's a whole different element to our production. And it changes. Dancing to live music, your tempo varies from performance to performance. So there's always that special touch to it too. But I think that aspect of it is very important to me, and I think it's exciting for the performers as well to have that part of it. But I think if I were given one specific thing to say, I think I would just put my own personal touch on maybe the personalities that I'm trying to express in the dancers dancing.
What is your favorite aspect of the Nutcracker?
Well, so of course, growing up, you think your favorite role is like either Clara, or Sugar Plum Fairy. Of course, every little girl wants to be Sugar Plum Fairy. But now that I have been directing and choreographing for many years, I have done the snow scene for many years now, and that's the second half of Act One, and it's exciting to me. We have in our local production this year, we even brought back the fog in the beginning of the scene, the dream sequence where the prince comes to life and dances with Clara. We have a little bit of fog that we get to use, and then throughout the entire snow scene, it actually snows on stage. So it's just, it kind of puts you in like you're there dancing with those little snow angels, and it just kind of brings it to life. You have that 3D aspect on stage of the snow. I mean, you sit there and maybe get a bit of a chill because you think it's snowing on stage. But and of course, you know, I have a special place in my heart for the snow scene because I worked so hard on it for so many months. So I guess I would have to say the snow scene.
What are some other ballet performances that you really enjoy?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of beautiful ballets that I've seen throughout the years, but I think, being able to, as a choreographer, I'm able to create and start new things, as I spoke about before, and that's just always special because it's your own piece, and I have definitely set classical ballets on, for galas, for some of our spring galas before. And that's always special too, because it is part of tradition. It is part of that classical ballet that we're taught about and we see throughout history. So it's so great that some of those ballets, Sleeping Beauty and all of those, Swan Lake, all these classical ballets are still performed on stage. It's amazing that we get to see all those still.
You said that different ballet companies have different interpretations of the Nutcracker. What was your favorite interpretation that you've seen so far?
I've seen several out of town for sure, other than our production, and I think that there's certain aspects of each show that I enjoyed. I actually got to perform in a Nutcracker in Walnut Creek with Contra Costa Ballet years ago, many years ago. But that was the first Nutcracker that I performed outside of Bakersfield, and they had one aspect that was different in theirs is that they had a narrator narrating the story and kind of telling the story on stage as it was happening, which was kind of cool because it was kind of like someone reading a book, reading a Christmas story to you. So that was very different for me, which, was a little bit different element, but that was one of the first times I realized, oh, I guess they're not all the same. But then recently, just a few years back, I was gifted from my sister Jenna. Jenna gave me Nutcracker tickets to the San Francisco Ballet Nutcracker for Christmas, and I went and saw that, and it was definitely beautiful. And I think, again, they had a live orchestra, so that was wonderful. And I think what amazed me the most about their performance were their sets. I mean, they had things on hydraulics, and when things came to life in the dream sequence, you had curio cabinets that went from a regular sized curio cabinet that came to life and tilted forward, and soldiers marched out of it, and mice came out from behind it, and things really came to life. I mean, they grew, and it was amazing what they were able to do with the sets and the scenery. And talk about snowing. Their snow scene snowed so much that they had a few inches of snow on the floor that they danced through. So I think, of course, they have probably a much higher budget for their Nutcracker and are able to put more into their sets and that part of the production. But it was definitely beautiful and fun to watch.
I think I would actually prefer to have a narration in order to tell the story better, at least in my opinion. Now, in having to act in that, did you find it distracting?
I think maybe at first it was. It kind of caught me off guard because I didn't know it was going to happen. I was training in the studio and rehearsing for the performance, and we didn't have that narration until we got to the theater. So I think at first it kind of caught me off guard, but I think especially if you're unfamiliar with the story of Nutcracker, I think it's helpful to some of the audience. I think for some people it's distracting. I think it's just different for everybody. For some people, they just want to enjoy the dancing part of it. They don't need that. And but it was, I think something different that I can say that I was able to experience.
Well, I definitely prefer the narration. It sounds like you really enjoyed it yourself.
Yeah, of course. I think, like I said, it was my first time seeing something other than what I grew up performing in. So I think there's always, that special moment where it's something different. So, yeah, I think every Nutcracker performance is unique in its own little way.
Tell us a little bit about your store.
Well, here at the Performers Closet, like I said, we have shoes, we have leotards, we have tights, we have accessories, we have fun little Christmas gifts that you can get that special dancer on your list. We have warm up attire. We have point shoes. I think that that's kind of what Kern County was needing. Bakersfield specifically, we haven't had a dance store here in Bakersfield since COVID. Um, I grew up having all that jazz that I used to go and shop at as a dancer, as a young dancer. And I guess I didn't realize, you know, how important that need is. The online market made it difficult for dance stores to stay in business because it got easy to order online and just have it shipped to your door. You don't have to go anywhere. But I think that with ballet shoes in particular, even tap and jazz shoes are sometimes hard to fit um, because you do want them to fit correctly in order to maximize your abilities in the classroom. And so you want to get a true fit to those shoes, and you do need to do that in person. And we haven't had a store here since COVID, so I'm happy to bring this back to Kern County, and I've been so thankful for the community for being very sweet and supportive and in my endeavor, and I hope that continues because that's the only way I'll be able to keep my store running and keep in business is by the support of the community and getting people here and shopping in my store. And if I don't have it, I can get it. I'll get it for them. I'll make sure that we're meeting all of their needs. And I want to collaborate with all the studios in town and all the teachers and directors with their needs, their dancewear needs. If they need something for a recital, I want to provide that for their students and make sure that all of our dancers have everything they need.
Annie, thank you for talking with us today, and have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Merry Christmas to everyone out there.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.